te maken. Some say they've spent more hours in a wetsuit than out of one. And that if they ever show up at a formal event, odds are it'll be in a 5'4". Others claim they're just as comfortable in thick rubber as they are behind the camera, and that they've turned cold water surfing into their way of life. All we know is that they're here to give the wetsuit-wearing surf world a much-needed wake-up call. So please welcome our fellow cold water surfers, producer and director of the movie The Big Sea, Chris Nelson and Louis Arnold. Woo! Welcome. Have a seat. Yeah,
hello, thank you.
You'll have to slide closer to me if you don't mind.
No, just take the microphone and pull it.
Yeah, you can
yes.
pull it. There you go. Ooh, can you hear us?
Yeah, good right up there, thank you.
So, welcome in the podcast. We're really, really happy to have you here. Fellow cold water surfers, which is really cool.
Yeah, I'm from Tynemouth, which is near Newcastle in England, and it's kind of like an old North Sea surf town.
It's northeast.
Northeast, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like a parallel universe to here, really.
It's even more colder than Belgium. Probably.
Yeah, probably is a little bit, maybe, but yeah. So, but yeah, it's always interesting to come over the other side of the North Sea and see what's going on over here.
Fellow cold water surfers.
Yeah.
And you as well, cold water surfer?
Yeah, I mean, I started off surfing in the North Sea and then moved to Cornwall where it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah. They say it's a microclimate there.
I'm a little bit softer these days. We get to take our hoods off in the summer.
Lucky you. Yeah, Joe, he's a cold water surfer as well, but I think he stopped. Yeah.
He used to be a cold water surfer.
he has arthritis now, so he stopped. So you made a movie. Well, it's a documentary that's called The Big Sea, and it's not a happy surf movie. It's a documentary. It's a documentary, yeah, not a movie.
Well, we wanted to keep it a surf film, but it's a documentary. It's an unusual surf film.
And it's about what neoprene does, well, the production of neoprene does to some people.
Yeah, it's about the effects of neoprene production and trying to inform people like what goes into their wetsuits. Mm-hmm. I've surfed for so long and I'd never heard the word chloroprene.
No, neither did I.
Yeah, well, chloroprene's the biggest ingredient in our wetsuits. If you've got a neoprene wetsuit, it's made of chloroprene. That is a really problematic product that is made. It causes really serious health problems around the plant where it's made.
Yeah, it's not for the people who wear the wetsuit. It's for the people who live around the plant.
That's the gist of our film. That's what we're trying to explore. But yeah, we don't know about when it's actually a wetsuit, what that does, if anything. No one's ever looked into that.
Okay.
So there's like two main plants where they make the neoprene.
Only two in the whole world, right?
There's only two? That's what I...
So the surf wetsuit brands source their neoprene from two factories. One of them's in Louisiana in a place called Cancerali. The other one is in Japan. And the story is developed really in that the main part of the story is about what happens around the plant in Cancerali, and the cancer rate there is 50 times the national average due to the chloroprene
Due to the factory.
It's the highest in the US. And then the story developed in that we started to dig into wetsuits because as surfers we've always been told that we're buying environmental wetsuits, which was limestone neoprene. And I think a lot of us grew up believing we were buying environmental wetsuits. But when we dug into it, we realized that this was basically just greenwashing. And the limestone neoprene wetsuits were, if anything, worse than petrochemical wetsuits.
But how did you find out about it? What was the trigger? Because we never, ever in all my surfing life heard about a toxic product used in wetsuits.
Yeah, well, it's been hidden pretty much on purpose, unfortunately. But there's a newspaper in England called The Guardian, and they sent a journalist over there to Cancerali after the air toxics reports from the EPA had come out. It's like a really sort of newsy, you know, it seems quite surreal to link that to surfing.
Yes.
But in the whole of America, the worst cancer risk was like the little neighborhood next to this
next to the plant, yeah.
So that spurred the Guardian to go and look into it. Like the whole of Louisiana, that whole area is bad.
Yeah.
But there's one bit that's way worse than anywhere else.
And that's the Cancer Alley.
Yeah.
But in the Guardian, it was already connected to wetsuits?
They said, bear in mind that it's a mainstream media outlet. They don't really know or care about surfing. You know? They just said it's chloroprene emissions are causing this problem. Chloroprene is used to make neoprene, which is used in wetsuits.
Yes.
That's it.
And that's the story you guys picked up.
Yeah, because obviously North Sea surfers, like wetsuits, mean a lot to us.
Yes,
you know?
of course.
So that's when it sort of like chimed, like, you know, something like clicked.
And so do the major surf brands, do they know about it?
I believe they've known for a long time.
Yeah, so they've just been hiding it?
Yeah, we spoke to people in the industry who said that they saw the original news articles and they contacted colleagues at other brands and pointed this out to them, but then nothing changed.
And how long ago was this?
So the EPA report was 2015, and it came out about a year or so later.
Okay.
So but I think from kind of around 2018, 19, I think the word started to spread.
Yeah.
So, you know, people at the brands did know. I mean, if your job, if you make wetsuits, you should know what's going on in the neoprene world. And if a huge news story breaks around the world about neoprene and where neoprene's been manufactured and the high cancer risk, you would think that you would know about that.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
It's really heavy.
I never knew about it.
No, me
I've
either.
been buying wetsuits my whole life, so for me it was really shocked to watch the documentary.
Yeah.
I watched it with my wife. We watched it like in one piece and it was like, wow, it's insane. The story is just insane.
Yeah. The other thing that's been really interesting for us is the fact that we realize that as surfers don't really ask like critical questions of the brands. You know, the brands have been telling us these things for years, and we've all believed the marketing like blindly because we kind of trusted the
But
brands.
it's a good news industry, no? Surfing.
Yeah. And I think there's a brand loyalty out there. Like a lot of surfers will go, oh, I buy XL or I buy Billabong. They're like brand loyal, and they believe the marketing that the brands tell them. And I think it's only when you start asking awkward questions that the brands then have to tell you, actually, is this a green product? Is this ethical? You know, they have to produce the proof if they're making those claims.
Have you been contacted by brands after making the movie?
Yeah, we've contacted all the brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did they say?
They were really surprised.
Yeah, I never knew about this. Please tell me more.
I mean, it's pretty much been a spectrum. Some of the brands have been really amazing. So, for example, on one end of the spectrum, there's a brand which kind of is here in Benelux called Wallian, and they make wetsuits for women. And they heard about the film. I had a conversation with them, and immediately there and then they said, we're going to switch all our production to natural rubber wetsuits, because they were horrified. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have other brands that have just dug their heels in and made loads and loads of excuses and basically not really changed.
No.
And so we've kind of heard everything from one end to the other. Yeah.
Okay. Is there an alternative?
Yeah, the alternative is to use natural rubber, which now definitely performs as well as the best neoprene wetsuits. It has in the past been more expensive.
Yes.
But that's because there's a monopoly on wetsuit production with this company called Shaco. And for commercial reasons, they kind of don't want you to use natural rubber because they don't own the company that makes the natural rubber. So, but what's happened now is they've realized there is an appetite in the market for natural rubber. So they've brought out their own one, their own version, same technology, but
so natural rubber, we're going back to the original O'Neill wetsuits. They were natural rubber, right?
Yeah. Well, originally, synthetic rubber was made to replace natural rubber. And, we're basically going back to what we used to use and which works really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the natural wetsuits, they're called the Ulex. Those are the Ulex wetsuits, right?
Yeah, so Ulex is like a brand. And then there's another, well, there's going to be different versions of natural rubber on the market, but Ulex is the original, and that's the one that was developed with Patagonia.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's available for all the brands to use now, and it's as good as any neoprene wetsuit. And like if you put a neoprene wetsuit and a Ulex wetsuit side by side, you couldn't tell the difference between them performance-wise. The only difference is the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been surfing with wetsuits from Oxbow, the Ulex ones, and I have to say they felt not as soft on my skin as the neoprene ones. But now they gave us a wetsuit that's even softer than the neoprene ones, and we looked inside it, and it was made from Ulex and recycled materials, which we thought sounded not too good after watching the documentary.
Well, there's a lot of constituents go into a wetsuit, but the main constituent is either chloroprene rubber or like the latex Ulex material. And then there are other elements that go in, and one of those is carbon black. And carbon black is like a recycled car tire material. But there's now a new material on the market called Boulder Black that's made from recycled natural rubber wetsuits. So you can have 100% so the recycled element then becomes recycled natural rubber.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are alternatives.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you one last question. Do you guys have a favorite surf movie? Favorite surf movie of all times?
Yeah, without doubt, Litmus.
Good choice.
That's my era. Yeah.
That's a really good. That's a one to watch, guys. Litmus. You?
Well, it's hard to move past Litmus because Litmus was the benchmark when I was growing up, and you'd go to someone's house.
You've
and
been
if they
spending
had,
way too much time together.
Well, if they had the orange Litmus, video cassette on their kind of shelves, you'd kind of go, we're the same people.
A video cassette that was even before the DVDs came out.
Showing our age there.
But thank you so much for giving us some of your time to come and talk to us in the podcast. Everybody who is here, I'm going to urge them to watch the movie because the documentary, I keep saying a movie, but it's a documentary and it's insanely good and it's very, wow, it's breathtaking, but not in the good way.
Yeah, guys, thanks a lot. I hope we didn't spoil your vibe too much there.
No, the truth is out there now. So thank you so much and a big round of applause, please. Wauw, Jokke. Ik wist het niet van de neoprene wetsuits. Voor